fitness to farming, beer to business, and shooting to style. It's always entertaining, sometimes insightful, and never has a dull moment. You're listening to the Always Something podcast.
In studio, we have Joey from Another Average Joe. We have our friend Alex from Organic Grit. Welcome to the show, guys. It's awesome to see you. All of us together.
I know.
Exciting.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, man. Anytime. We kind of scratched the surface at the end of your last episode, a little bit about self-improvement, things of that nature. Is there, I feel bad when we barely touch the surface of certain topics, and we always intend on getting a little deeper. So I think that's our intention today.
Yeah, I know, we kind of brought it up, right? Because I focus on the transition and leaving the military and that kind of process. But for me, a lot of what I think spurred my success and everything so far was kind of that self-improvement. And I really changed my mindset, I think, over the last year and a half to kind of adopt a growth mindset. It's not even a term I would have known 2 years ago, to be totally honest,
Yeah.
And for me, it kind of just, I don't know what, there's different ways, right, that you kind of end up in this position, right? Because like people look back, and I've talked with a bunch of people, and like, oh, dude, like you flew in the Air Force and you flew fighters, and that's so cool. You're probably like, always wanted to do this. And I think what's come maybe a little bit more unusual about me is like I didn't. I just kind of happened to be there, and it kind of worked out. And so, leaving something that is, a pretty intense kind of career field, I took a lot of introspection and time to think about what I want to do next. And that's where I kind of started down that path. For me, it was a pretty unlikely thing. I just started, like I said, listening to audiobooks and podcasts, and kind of wound up in that realm.
Really good.
Yeah, I couple I regularly listen to. I listen to Ed Milet, if you guys have heard of him or listened to him, and then the Gary V audio experience. I know a lot of people, right? Like Gary V, super big name. A lot of kind of entrepreneurs, and that's kind of he's seen as like the entrepreneur. But if you really listen to his stuff, like just his story and where he came from and how his like perspective on life is just, it's really different, I think. And obviously he's a super successful entrepreneur, multimillionaire, but on the show a lot of times he'd be like, fuck the money. And what it's about, like happiness and finding like what works for you. And he's about it. I really believe that. A lot of people think, oh, he's selling me something or whatever. I think if you listen to him long enough, you'll realize it's not him.
I listened to a podcast with him the other day, at least a snippet of it, and he said something like, I would rather give you $10,000 in cash right now than be on your podcast. And it wasn't an insult to them. He was just expressing the point that time is everything. So,
when I was getting ready to get out, I was like super burned out. I was like, I just want to find a job. I think I said this on before, but our commander at one point was like, yeah, if you just want to get out and make widgets in a widget factory, like you don't need it in the military. And at the time I was like, man, that sounds great. I don't really care what I do. I just want to get out and make widgets in a widget factory. That sounds awesome.
When I was talking to Major Schumann at dinner, I was talking to him about some career aspirations of mine in the Army still. And he went to Georgetown and he got a degree in literature. And that in of itself is very like, you think like, oh, I thought I knew the English language, but you don't. Like literally, like he learned how to say and describe things in ways that people don't, through vocabulary that he was taught there and ways to structure and concepts. So I mentioned a lot, God willing, or hopefully, and all this stuff. And then he said, yo, just like really honestly, you mentioned that shit 3 times, and like through like multiple conversations, just stop. Like if you want to do something, do it. If not, it's an out. So if you have like an issue, like, like I'm not, fast enough, I'm not quick enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not qualified enough, so it's just not, I need an out. He's like, you already set yourself up for failure. So it's either do it 100% or get the fuck out. And I was just like, okay.